Hi guys, Sharisse here with Sharisse Real Estate, and welcome to my second video. As you can see from the title, this is my story of how I became a real estate agent and my journey throughout. So I'm going on my fourth year. This coming July would actually be my fourth year in real estate, July 2nd to be exact. 2015, February 2015, a friend of mine was actually looking into purchasing investment or properties for investments. And I mentioned that I always thought of going into real estate. And they said, well, why not? And I was like, that's a very good question. So I began looking into it. So I lived in Catawba County in North Carolina, and I started researching of the closest school in my area and found one of the best schools of real estate in North Carolina that also happened to be in the city that I lived in at the time. So I started doing full research on when the class was, how long, and at the time it was 5 weeks and 2 days a week. For each week, so which isn't bad at all. A lot of people think that you actually have to have like a full years or however long that other schools may take, but in the state of North Carolina at the time in 2015, it was literally 5 weeks, 2 days a week. And I went to J.Y. Monk is the name of the school. And it was a great experience. It was an awesome experience. They taught you everything that you needed to know in regards to passing the test and the North Carolina laws and everything that comes along with that. So the process is after those 5 weeks, you have a class exam. And I don't recall exactly how many points were needed to pass the exam. But if you did in fact pass, then you are eligible to go ahead and take the state exam. Now, unfortunately, the state exam for North Carolina is not as easy as the course exam. I'm going to be honest with you guys. I have heard that North Carolina is one of the hardest licensure exams for real estate to actually pass. And I can say that I've had my fair share of that. I did pass my class exam on my first try, so I was good to go there. But when it came time to actually take the state licensing exam, that was a whole nother story. And I'm going to be very transparent with that. I'm going to be honest, because anyone who asks my story personally, I am not ashamed to tell them that I struggled. I did. I took the exam the first time, probably a few days out after class. I took the exam and I missed it by 7 points, and I was devastated because I thought, well, I passed the class exam with no issues, so I should be fine. Well, the wording of the questions on the state exam are just insane. They are tricky and they are hard to learn. So when I missed it by 7, I really kind of took it to heart, and I didn't give up though, which is awesome. 2 weeks later, I was talking to my mom about it, and she was like, oh, why don't you go back again? And you only missed it by 7, you'll be fine. And I was like, well, Mommy, I haven't picked up my books in 2 weeks. I haven't been studying. I've just unfortunately fell off course. Not given up, but I did fall off course. And like I said, I'm going to be honest and transparent with you guys. But she talked me into it, and she was like, go with the Lord and you'll be fine. And I said, okay, so here I am going back. And I did fail to mention that the course at the time, pricing wise, was $95. So every time that you had to go back to take the exam, it was a $95 amount. And at the time when I took the actual class, that was $449. So again, that was in 2015, so keep that in mind that the prices may be different, but that's what it was for me at the time. So I paid my $95 to go back again and take the exam, and here I was. And this time I missed it by 5. And again, I was in the same situation. And I said, you know what? Enough of this. I am doing it to myself. I need to take my books out and actually study. So I went ahead and did what I needed to do. I got some flashcards, I got some markers, some highlighters, and I created dozens of flashcards that I knew of terms that I needed to learn and just to get down in my head. So when they came up in the questions, even though the questions may be tricky, I understood the terms and knew what the correct answer was. So I did that. And I believe it was a few weeks later, I paid another $95 and I went at it again. And this time I passed one portion of the exam. So for each state, there are two exams. There's the national, which is about over 100 questions. I can't remember exactly. Actually, I want to say it's 100 questions. And then there's a state portion. For North Carolina, I believe the state portion is between 36 to 40 questions. So a maximum of 140 questions total. So I passed the national portion, which I was grateful for, because even though it is the easier of the two, it was still the longest to take. So it was 100 questions. So that was daunting in itself. And the great thing about it is once you pass one portion, that's it. Don't have to take it again. And you only have to focus on the portion that you missed. So I went back to studying, got out my flashcards, focused on the North Carolina state portion, and created, any flashcard that I knew that would help me. And here we are again. I paid another $95 and I went in and I passed. And I was so grateful, even though knowing that if I'd done it the right way the first time, I could have passed it on my first try, but that's okay. I stuck to it. I persevered. And after all of my hard work, I started classes in February. I started my class, and then I actually got licensed on July the 2nd. And from my license here in my office, let me double check. Yes, July the 2nd of 2015 is when I got licensed. So I was so forever grateful, and I learned the hard way that really when it comes down to the easiest way to pass the exam is to study. There's no other way around it. There's no tips, there's no tricks. You really just have to, hunker down and actually do the work and do the studying that you need to get those terms in your mind. I wish I had some easy solution for you, but like I said, I did it the hard way and there is no other way around it. So get you some flashcards, get you some highlighters. As you're going through your course, you can highlight the terms that you need help with. So then at the end of that day or throughout the week until you start, go back to class that following week, you already have your flashcards set out for the words that you know that you need some help on. So that's my best advice. If you have any questions about licensure in the state of North Carolina, feel free to leave those questions behind. I am with Keller Williams Realty, and I will explain my journey after being licensed in my next video. So feel free to like, comment, and subscribe. And again, if you have any questions, leave those below and I'll be happy to answer in any way that I can. So thank you guys for watching. Again, I am Karleta with Karleta Sharisse Real Estate. And you guys have a great day.